Thank you. Thanks for joining me today. Thanks for inviting me. I've got a few slides to share, and I realize I'm keeping folks from the booth, so we'll go through these as quickly as we can. This is a little bit about the AFRL Small Business Office strategic vision. One thing I got to tell you about AFRL Small Business is some of you may be aware, pretty much every U.S. government procurement activity has a small business office, no matter what agency, certainly throughout DOD and in the Air Force. Air Force Material Command has a small business office, and so do all the centers. But there is no small business office in the Air Force, or really probably in DOD or the federal government like the AFRL Small Business Office. We're very unique. So here's a quick slide we like to call the toolbox slide. It shows all the different methods and ways that we can help small businesses and connect them to the Air Force, to AFRL, and to other agencies. A little bit of an eye chart. The main point to take from here is that leadership throughout the Air Force and DOD, wants to make it easier for small businesses to work with the Air Force and with the Department of Defense. We want to increase the industrial base. So one of the things is if you see that bullet on, we want to demystify working for the Air Force, and we have some ways we think that help with that. Making small businesses our partners of choice. We want to establish networks of innovation hubs and partners. And just the mere fact that we are having this event today, and it's sponsored by Wright Brothers Institute, is an example of one of our very strong partners and our partnership intermediary network. So, unlike any other small business office in the government, we not only do traditional small business things by reviewing solicitations, trying to make sure that opportunities are maximized for small business, we also run the Air Force's SBIR and STTR program and the Air Force Technology Transfer program. Now, research organizations throughout the government have tech transfer program offices. We happen to host the Air Force one, and they get involved in all sort of things, including tech scouting, licensing, outreach, information management, training of government folks, and partnership intermediary agreements. So one of the ways we execute this technology transfer and transition mission is through our Office of Research and Technology Application, or ORTAS. Government agencies of a certain size that have some laboratory type or acquisition activities are supposed to have an ORTA. The name says office. It usually means a person. And we've got them all over the country, as you can see. And right here at Wright Pat, all of the AFRL mission orgs have it. The 7th and 11th and the USAF SAM folks have one of our strongest offices in the entire Air Force. The ORTA for 7-11th is a man named Jim Kearns, and for USAF SAM, it is John Schutte. And there's a lot of activity that comes out of the 7-11th and USAF SAM relative to licensing of technology. So here's a little quick slide about there's other partnering opportunities in the tech transfer area than just having a contract or a grant, a cooperative agreement with the Air Force. These opportunities here, CRADAs, cooperative research and development agreements, commercial test agreements, EPAs, PLAs, information technology agreements, are ways for you to partner with the Department of Defense or the Air Force and advance some research or some other aspects of your technology. The thing I always warn people about this, especially for small businesses, is that all of these partnering opportunities listed on this page do not involve the transfer of funds from the federal government to the other party. We can, in CRADA, a lot of times we allow access to facilities or data, and you can come on and do some research or collaborate with some of our researchers on a research project. We usually have to have access to the data results that come out of it, and you guys maintain ownership in the data. However, we're not going to be giving you any funds to do that, which makes it less attractive for some companies. I think I've got an upcoming slide on our various partnership intermediary partners around the country, but one of our most primary ones is the Wright Brothers Institute here in Dayton. Now, Wright Brothers, one of the things they do for us, they operate this thing we call AFRL-SBHub.com, and you want to make a note of that website, because when we're all back away from COVID, there's a physical space at 444 East 2nd Street that we use for the Small Business Hub, and Jim Masonbrink is the very skilled director of the hub. He's a WBI employee. But we also have this website where you can find out about AFRL 24/7. We've got ways to follow us on social media, connect to the SBIR program, solicitation, other toolkits if you're trying to build your small business. And that's even divided in between very new small businesses with some experience with the federal government, and small businesses with lots of experience with the federal government. But one of the things we have there in the area of technology transfer is there is all sorts of Air Force owned, DoD owned intellectual property and patents that are available for license. You can license that to expand your existing business or to create a business. We have some fine examples in the Dayton area, one of them being Battlesite Technology that licensed technologies from the Air Force Research Laboratory, Materials and Manufacturing Directorate, and created a company and product line, and has had quite a bit of success. And along the way, folks like WBI and some of our other PIA partners help nurture them. So folks may or may not be aware of this. If you do a contract for the government and there's research involved, then the company that does the research actually owns the intellectual property coming out of it, and the Air Force has a license. If you have government employees doing research on a government activity, anything they patent or develop there actually belongs to the government, but we're not good at commercializing. So we have a very strong program on how to try to license our intellectual property. Anybody who wants to talk to me about it, come see me in the booth after we're done, because I think at the end of my session, we're not taking questions. So here's a map of the country showing our partnership intermediaries all over the country. Every Air Force Research Lab location has what we call sometimes a local or regional partnership intermediary, or PIA. You see on this, you see the Wright Brothers Institute in Dayton. We also have a PIA it's called Apex that is operated by the Wright State Applied Research Corporation. There's two of them in Rome, New York, near our facility there. There's one in Arlington, Virginia. There's one in Florida. There's one out at AFRL, New Mexico. The Air Force AFRL Tech Transfer Office also operates on behalf of the Office of Secretary of Defense, two partnership intermediaries at Montana State University, Miltech, and TechLink. So I said earlier, hey, you might be able to license patents, and you might actually want a CRADA or an EPA, but lots of folks want to do research for AFRL. And one of the things we have in the AFRL SB Hub site is a very, very easy to use solicitation finder. It searches both the betasam.gov and grants.gov and has a very easy interface. Now, one of the problems is if your search terms are a little too broad, you're going to get a lot of hits, but it will quickly find open solicitations not just by the Air Force, but anywhere in the federal government that are on Beta SAM that you might consider responding to. So that's something we point folks to, because if you've gone to betasam.gov or the old Fed BizOps, searching there can be rather cumbersome. One of the things that we like to talk about is that we have a partnership with the National Security Innovation Network, which is a DoD office, and we have been doing some various challenges and collaboration activities throughout this year, and they do at times involve our dear friends at Wright Brothers and other PIAs. So might check up on them, see if you have any interest in some of their activities. One of the things that's probably got among the most prominent newsworthy items is the Air Force SBIR STTR program. That Air Force Center of Excellence, we call it, is part of AFRL SB, and they're involved in all the day-to-day management of the Air Force Cyber program. And also, we have a group of folks that handle the finance and award the contracts for the Air Force Cyber program. Very busy bunch of folks. For people that are interested in submitting proposals against the SBIR, STTR solicitations, the 2020.3 SBIR broad agency announcement, which is a DoD thing, DoD issued solicitation, and there's Air Force topics in there, and the STTR 20.C, those are in pre-release. They go to solicitation opening on September 23rd, and proposals are due on October 22nd. Now, if you miss out on that, there's always more SBIR solicitations coming around the corner. So there's a 21.1, which will be in pre-release near Thanksgiving, and will open January 2nd. Proposals will be due February 10th of 2021. Then another cycle with 21.2, pre-release in April, opened in May, solicitation closed mid-June, and then finally 21.3, which will be about a year from now in pre-release, and then solicitations issued and proposals due in October of 2021. All of these things can be found, the links to the solicitation and other stuff at the Air Force SIBR website. And I think if you just Google it, you can usually find it pretty easily. One of the things that go back here, if you find to our partnership intermediary page, we do a lot of work with our partners, no matter what location they're close to. But you're going to hear a little bit later today from Scott Korndike from the Entrepreneur Center, and they work closely with WBI, and they work to help new businesses and existing businesses kind of develop their business plans. And we've also had them work with some of our SBIR new awardees over the years. So this is my last chart. I'd like to talk about innovation with speed and agility. Some things I can throw out to you. AFRL is very small business friendly. It's not just SBIR. In fiscal year 19, AFRL contracting offices awarded about $4 billion worth of contract actions. Of that, 2.1 billion, or slightly more than half, were to small businesses of various types, mostly for research. The SBIR program, which is very important to us, was only $500 million of that. So over $1.5 billion of what AFRL spent last year with small businesses was not on SBIR. So there are a lot of solicitations which you can find using that AFRL SB Hub Finder. And just a couple more notes. If it's my work email is bruce.miller.1@us.af.mil. We also have a generic AFRL SB organization question box. It's afrl.sb.questions@us.af.mil. Taking the opportunity to talk to folks in some of the booths today. I looked and saw some of the different booths that are available today. Folks that we work with frequently, like the Entrepreneur Center, Dayton Defense, Wright Brothers, Mile 2, which is another company that's had wonderful success in the last 5 years and came from AFRL employee Jeff Grayley, who went out and started his own business. We've also got folks from the 7-Eleventh, from the Wright State Applied Research Corporation. These are all folks that we work with on a pretty frequent basis. So I thank you for the time today, and that's all I have.